Hello everyone and welcome to the Starseed Dragon channel. This is an oracle review. This is the other deck that I got one night when I was perusing the websites on one of my many sleepless nights. And I thought that how appropriate with Pluto going into Aquarius for the next 20 years, that this would pop up on my journeys through the interwebs, right? I did purchase this on Amazon, as you know, with the Mind's Eye Tarot that I just reviewed. And I thought, how interesting would it be? Look at the beautiful colors. So it's the Oracle of Pluto, a 55 card exploration of the undiscovered self. Written by Aubrey, Houdeshell, illustrated by Rose Ides. I hope I didn't chop those names up too badly. RP Studio, $20 US, 26 Canadian. The, let's see, renningpress.com. Here is the, focus. Here's the ISBN number for you. So let me read this. Get in touch with your deepest self using shadow work as your guide. Shadow work, the exploration of the darker side of oneself and the world, is a powerful tool for self-transformation and exploration using Plutonian archetypes and ethereal shadow puppet inspired figures. Author Aubrey Houdeshell and illustrator Rose Ides guide you through this potent process of personal revolution. Inside, you'll find 55 oracle cards featuring archetypes like the crow and the tiger, illustrated guidebook with card interpretations and sample spreads. Let's take a look at this. Do we have a metallic? We do have a metallic opening. Oh my goodness. You know I love those metallic openings. This is beautiful. I love the colors that are being represented here. How beautiful is this? So let's just slide this right on out. Here is the guidebook. Let's see what we've got going on. And I will be reading from the guidebook. This deck is dedicated to anyone who has dared to traverse their inner landscape and unearth the power that lay dormant there. I am so excited to have this as part of my new, a new member to my collection. So we have the contents. Looks like a bunch of animals. Okay. Introduction. How to use this deck. On reversals. Integrating the shadow. Oh, these are spreads. Okay, these are different spreads. The cards. Wow. I was just so in love with all the richness of the colors that I was like, you know, this is 100% appropriate in right now, since Aquarius is moving into Pluto, or vice versa, whatever we want to call it, right? Okay, so now these are the darker backgrounds with the white writing. So it might take me a minute to read these, okay? Just letting you know. Now, I'm very light sensitive. So I usually, when I'm in front of my computer, I have a dark background unless I'm in Excel, which, you know, they don't have a dark mode. But if they did, I would be in dark mode in Excel. Look how cute that is, like a little envelope. How gorgeous. Love it. Okay, so let's see. See, these oracle cards are a nice size. They're about the same size as a regular tarot deck, just a smidgen larger. I wonder if they're the same size as the Night Weight. Yeah, they're the same size as the Night Weight. Wow, that's nice. I like having oracle cards that I can hold in my hand without feeling the pressure of trying not to fumble them. That's the only downside to my favorite deck. My favorite oracle is Into the Lonely Woods, but it's so huge, right? So I was talking with one of my soul sisters, and she told me about trimming down decks, and told me about a card edger. So I got one. So maybe I'll do a video on how I trim down my decks. Okay. Look how beautiful that is. Matte finish. Okay. Beautiful little Scorpio there. Of course, Pluto, or Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, right? And then this is what we've got going on here. Nice matte finish, no gilding. So let's see about getting a little bit close up here. Closer, get closer, get closer. Ooh, not that close. Okay, there we go. Can you see them? Okay, sorry for them being so dark, but beautiful. Okay, goat, meaning untapped potential, fertility, virility, stubbornness. As the first domesticated animal in human history, the goat is an old familiar friend. The horns on a goat often represent fertility, virility, and life force. All are at the same time. The goat can be a very destructive creature if not managed properly. When the goat card appears in a reading, the primordial force from which both creation and destruction spring is asking for your attention. There is untapped potential within you that is begging to be harnessed now. And the way you choose to engage with it or not is up to you. When goat energy is present, there is often a certain stubbornness at play. Perhaps you are engaging in an old pattern or behavior that you know is self-destructive, but is ultimately familiar and therefore comfortable. This is your chance to switch up the story and transmute that stubbornness into determination. When channeled correctly, nothing can stand in the way of the goat. And I have further reflection. Think about your relationship to power. To whom and what do you give your power away, and why? What would it look like for you to be embodied in your power? What could you accomplish? Very thoughtful cards. Beautiful. I love them. Already on the first one. Whitetail, meaning the process of rebirth. Each year, the majestic whitetail sheds an incredibly important part of itself, its rack of antlers. In each subsequent year, the antlers grow back stronger and bigger than they were before. The process of regrowing these antlers is bloody and painful, yet necessary. The antlers are used to defend not only the whitetail stag, but also his family. Furthermore, they are a sign of increasing maturity, experience, and skill. The arrival of the whitetail in a reading means that you, too, are undergoing a painful yet necessary rebirth. There is a part of your identity, life, or even relationships that must be shed now in order for you to advance forward in your journey and ultimately your evolution. This process may also feel bloody and painful. Resist the urge to shy away from it. Instead, recognize that to make room for this new version of yourself, a version that is bigger and stronger than before, you must first prune away whatever is bogging you down. You've outgrown it, and choosing to hold on to it is no longer serving you. Wow, that's pretty deep. Further reflection. Often, fear comes hand in hand with change, and when we can sense it on the horizon, we instinctively double down on that which is familiar. Think of the stag and how he lets go of the thing that protects him without question, knowing that it will be replaced with something even more immaculate. How can this unbridled trust in the unfolding of your path serve you now, even if you don't know exactly what it means yet? Isn't that beautiful? That really is part of the whole catharsis of doing your shadow work, is as you grow and evolve, you can't take everyone and everything with you on your entire life's journey. Sometimes you have to let go of people, places, things, situations that no longer serve your your highest good, your happiness, your joy, no longer bring you that, and feel more like a burden. Sometimes it's painful to let go of, especially people, right? This is a great reminder of that process, right? I really am digging these cards. What do you think? They're kind of watercolory, but still with that bold richness in the colors. I love it. Okay, let me get a sip of my coffee while it's still warm. Okay, house cat, meaning choices, the easy way out, rewilding. A common friend in the pet world, the house cat is one of the few domesticated animals that can turn feral at any moment, and then back again, if it so chooses. That same dichotomy is present within this card. In a reading, the house cat asks us about the decisions we're making and whether they're in alignment with what we truly want, believe, or need. As humans, we are prone to taking the path of least resistance, the comfortable, familiar path. But just because something is comfortable doesn't always mean it's good. It's time to get honest with yourself. Are you moving towards growth, toward your desires, toward your needs? Or are you staying sedentary and complacent because at least you know what to expect? Think of the feral nature a cat never loses. There's a part of you that is also begging to be free, to be wild, to embrace the risk of trying something new. It's highly likely this is the truest version of yourself. Let that part out of the house. Further reflection. People often ask about the process of rewilding, but what does it mean? It is the process of dismantling all the expectations and pressures imposed upon us by society, by others, and very often by our own selves. Through rewilding, we return to our rawest, most natural selves, who were born, who were you before they told you what to be? Who were you before they told you what to be? That is an excellent, excellent question to ask doing shadow work. I don't know about you, but I'm really loving this. I'm going to really incorporate this in my readings. That's for sure. Maybe you'll see it on the channel. Crab, meaning self-protection, boundaries, teaching others how to treat you. The crab is the master of self-protection, never leaving behind its home of armor and perpetually armed with sharp, bone-crushing claws. Although normally a docile creature, the crab stays ready to defend itself if necessary. It also stays ready to retreat if necessary. If you've pulled the crab in your reading, there is a situation at hand that calls for you to embrace this wisdom. Boundaries are hard, and as we move through life, our boundaries shift, grow, and transform along with us. Knowing when it's time to stay and fight versus when it's the best time to move on or take a step back is a delicate art, but you must master it now. Remember that we ultimately teach others how to treat us through our boundaries. Do you have them? This card is a call to assert them, maybe openly or maybe through silent withdrawal. Whatever feels the safest and most empowering option is the answer now. Stay open to the possibility of that answer changing throughout the situation. 2. Honor your own boundaries. Honor your own needs. Further reflection. If having boundaries or saying no is difficult for you, it's time to ask yourself why. If the answer lies in the discomfort it creates for the other person, consider that the way a person responds to your boundaries tells you everything you need to know about them. Somebody who truly respects you will also respect your boundaries without question. That is true. That is true. Hawk. This is so gorgeous. See the shadow figures and oh my goodness, this is a really nice deck. Hawk, meaning intelligence, independence, adaptability, and clarity. Hawks inhabit every single continent except Antarctica. Because of the vast diversity found in the environments they inhabit, hawks are incredibly adaptable creatures. Thanks to their prevalence, almost every ancient culture has lore surrounding this bird of prey. Many put hawks in the same category as ravens, owls, and other creatures known for their sharp intelligence. Scientists do as well. To see the hawk in your reading is a call to check in on your current state. Are you seeing things clearly? There is likely a situation at hand that is asking for a certain amount of flexibility on your part, but you may feel resistant to bending. Be careful that your stubbornness hasn't clouded your vision to your own detriment. This moment calls for some self-awareness and brutal honesty about the role you're playing in your own life and whether you're self-sabotaging. Further reflection. These days, intelligence is measured in both the academic sense, and the emotional sense, with much of the evidence pointing to emotional intelligence as a greater indicator of success. Which intelligence can serve you best in your current situation? Elephant. So beautiful. Meaning, obstacles, strength, majesty, wisdom, endurance. Perhaps one of the most famous images of an elephant is that of the Hindu god Ganesh. He is the mover of obstacles, and people often pray to him when they need help overcoming one. If the elephant has arrived in your reading, it's possible you have an obstacle in your path now. There is strength and a certain wisdom required to tackle this pesky roadblock, as it may seem as heavy or big as an elephant. However, along with strength, we must also have grace. Figuring out how to embody both at once and how to embody them effectively is where wisdom comes in. That is a magical, I love that. That is magical. I'm going to keep that. It's likely that the obstacle you're facing now is a frustrating one. Maybe the situation has been playing out for some time and you find yourself feeling defeated or discouraged. The elephant card also calls for resiliency and endurance. Remember that elephants are often symbols of good luck. Yours may be right around the next corner. Further reflection. Despite being one of the largest creatures in the animal kingdom, the elephant is a gentle giant. Imagine the force of an elephant can muster and how they instead choose to channel that force through softness. How can embodying this same approach serve you now? Puppet Master. Meaning, projection, distortion, the ego, self-awareness. The gatekeeper to the depths of our psyches will always be the ego. Though the ego isn't fundamentally a bad thing, much of psychology and spiritual work deals with acquiring the self-awareness to recognize when the ego has stepped into the limelight and we are acting from the wound. The puppet master represents this wounded ego and its lessons. Consider the artwork of the card for a moment. Notice how the head of the puppet master seems to form one of the heads of Cerberus. The dog shadow projected on the wall. Sometimes we are the victim of other people's projections. It's true. But sometimes, oftentimes, we are the projector. If this card has appeared in a reading, it's time for you to figure out which is the case right now, keeping in mind that both can be true at once. Mindful awareness is required of you now to discern not only if you're acting from the wound, but also from which one. If we are triggered in our trauma, the way things appear and or feel can be distorted. It's time to ground yourself, carve out some space and time, get quiet, and wait for clarity to rise to the surface. Further reflection. Freud is famous for his psychoanalytic theory regarding the id, the ego, and the superego. In everyday life, when we speak about the ego, we are often actually referring to the id. This is the part of ourselves thought to be primitive and instinctual, motivated by certain impulses, including sex, food, aggression, and hidden memories. The superego functions as a moral conscience, and the ego is actually the go-between. Consider the three heads of the dog shadow in this card and how they might represent the three parts of Freud's theory. All three must work in synchronicity to function properly. There is no hierarchy. How can you align your id, ego, and superego now? Are they all speaking the same language? That's a really deep card. Very good thing to ponder and think about when doing shadow work, right? Friend, meaning truth mirrors sound advice. Like the puppet master, the friend is a special card. Unlike the master, however, the friend operates outside of us. Have you ever heard the saying that other people are mirrors for us? The idea is the essence of this card. The arrival of the friend in a reading may indeed point to an important friend in our lives. It can indicate someone you can turn to when the truth feels muddled or elusive, whose perspective reflects our most authentic selves back to us and helps us navigate a treacherous landscape. However, it's important to recognize that not all the mirrors in our lives come by way of loved ones. Sometimes our most potent teachers are those who frustrate or irritate us to no end. Notice that the shadow cast by this friend is its true shadow. Unlike the other cards in this deck, it's time to turn to a trusted ally and let them know what you're going through. Know that the advice they give you now is the medicine required to remedy the situation. Further reflection. One way to think about this card is also contained in the age-old saying, the antidote is in the poison. Ask yourself who in your life is your greatest mirror and what lesson you can learn from them. Think of who you hold most dear and who you absolutely can't stand. Which one is a stronger teacher? You might be surprised by the answer. Wow. Wow. This is amazing. I love this deck. World, meaning the shadow realm, shadow work, unearthing your power. The eclipse seen in this card leaves everything in obscurity. Darkness has taken over, blotting out the light, whether wittingly or unwittingly. The world card heralds your intention into your personal underworld. In many ways, this card embodies the lifeblood of this deck. It represents the impossibly deep nature of our shadow and the unfathomably potent magic that lies within it. To pull this card in a reading is a sure sign that you are deep in the trenches. Things likely feel intense, pressurized, and maybe even downright painful. Fear often creeps in when we are feeling our way through the darkness, unable to make out the shapes and ghosts that lurk nearby. But it is here in the infinite darkness that limitless potential lives. For those who are brave enough to traverse their inner landscape, untamed power, creation, and boundless riches await. It is in the darkness that everything is birthed. Something is waiting for you to claim it and name it now. This isn't an invitation, but a demand. Find your true power and harness it. Step into your new skin. Take up more space. Trust your raw instincts. Unleash the animal within. Further reflection. Name the parts of yourself that have been deemed bad or wrong throughout your life, either by others, yourself, or both. Think of the ways other people have tried to keep you small. Where do you feel cut off from your power? What would happen if you were to reclaim it? You don't need anybody's permission to do so. Oh my goodness, I love these cards. These descriptions are amazing. Wolf, meaning intuition, silent observation, shadows. Wolves are nocturnal creatures, moving stealthily through the night as they hunt and resting throughout the day, except when calling their pack to alert them of a successful kill. Wolves are largely silent, watching and waiting for the perfect moment to make their move. A deep knowing through practiced observation and stillness enables their survival. The appearance of the wolf in a reading is first and foremost a call to step into your intuition. You are amid something that isn't as it seems, and it is through listening to that intuitive knowing that the truth will make itself known. This is a moment to pause, watch, and wait. Hold your cards close to your chest and take note of all that is revealed to you through this silent observation. You will know when it's time to make your move, but it's important not to act until then. Remember that time reveals all. Further reflection. We all possess an intuitive sense, but many struggle to know when it's intuition versus wishful thinking versus overanalyzing. Intuition is often subtle, and it's through silence and alone time that we make space for our intuition to speak. Now is the time to carve out some alone time for yourself and let it bubble to the surface. Recognize that your intuition is a statement. Anything else shows up as a question. That is very, very true. Very, very true. We need to make time every day as individuals for alone time or reflective time. It's very important, and it's very good for us as individuals to have that aloneness and that alone space. I know that there are a lot of people out there in this world that cannot stand being alone, but those are the people that probably should work on their shadow work the most, right? There's a reason for it, for them not wanting to be alone at all, right? Okay, pigeon, meaning situational, situational awareness, knowing your way back home, the present moment. What comes to mind when you think of a pigeon? Your gut reaction may be silly, if not ditzy bird. Despite this unflattering reputation, these birds have also been used to deliver messages, signals, and other life-saving information throughout history. Their use is recorded as early as 3,000 years ago in ancient Rome. If the pigeon has graced you with its presence, now is the time to practice mindful awareness. Ground yourself into the present moment. Notice the space around you, its sights, its smells. Notice how you feel emotionally and how you feel physically. As you take in the details around you, what new information emerges? Practice this same exercise for the situation that called you to use this deck in the first place. Alternatively, consider the idea that the only time is the present moment. We live in a society full of distractions. Grounding yourself into your body, your constant home, will bring you back into the present moment where clarity exists. Further reflection. Remember that people will forever judge you by your actions and not your intentions. It may be time to check in with both and ask yourself if the two are aligned. If not, why not? What do you need to do to ensure that both are communicating the same thing? Beautiful. And Phyllis is snoring away. If you can hear her, I'm sorry. It is what it is. She's a loud sleeper. I have to deal with that every night. Welcome to my world, right? Goose. Meaning a warning. Ooh, let's read this. If you've ever crossed paths with a goose, you've likely experienced or seen their absolute ferocity at work. A threatened goose will honk loudly, hiss, and even chase somebody down if they've moved too far into the goose's territory. Despite their regal appearance, they are not to be trifled with. That is for sure. To pull this card is to receive a warning. You are in dangerous territory and it's time to check yourself. If we're being honest, this card shouldn't come as much of a surprise. You've likely known the entire time that you are doing something you probably shouldn't. Maybe there is something taboo about the circumstance that made it feel fun, exciting, and new. We all enjoy being naughty from time to time. Maybe you've wandered here innocently and now find yourself in a bad situation. Regardless, you are on the verge of being found out. Heed the warning of this card and take a step back. If there is corrective action you can take, now is the time. If not, do your best to remove yourself from the situation before you or anyone else gets hurt. When things come to a head, if you're still around, it's likely you will be met with the unbridled ferocity of a territorial goose. Further reflection. There's a hot debate over whether morality is objective or subjective. What we think is okay or good or fair or right likely varies from what others perceive. Sometimes it can be difficult to know where the line is between your desires, your life, and someone else's. It can be a delicate balancing act. If you've engaged in a scenario in which the issue of right versus wrong feels murky, guilting or shaming yourself will make only the answer more elusive. Instead, think of the adage, treat others how you'd like to be treated. Put yourself in their shoes. how would you feel on the other side? That is very, very true. Very nice cards. I am loving these cards. What do you think? I think they're really going to be great for doing shadow work. Okay, let's continue. We have a lot of cards here, and I'm a slow reader. So let's go. Swallow. Meaning, hope, optimism, last steps on a journey. Last steps on a journey. Trust. The swallow has deep ties to sailors and naval companies across the world. In the UK, a sailor earns a swallow tattoo for every 5,000 nautical miles they travel. Lore among sailors is that seeing a swallow is a sure sign you're approaching land, even if you can't see it yet. It represents the end of the journey back home. The swallow card in this deck represents a similar sentiment, one of hope, optimism, and trust. It is a sure sign that you are nearing the completion of a cycle in some way. The last steps of this journey are in front of you, even if you can't see them or are having trouble believing they're there. Muster whatever strength and resiliency you can and trust that you have nearly made it. This may require faith in something higher or bigger than yourself, something divine and omniscient that sees the grand plan. Trust that you are fully supported in this journey and will be carried where you need to go, when you need to be there. Whatever the end of this cycle represents for you, know that hope is present. Find a way to grab onto it and trust that after being out at sea for so long, your landing on solid ground is imminent. Further reflection. When was the last time you experienced the undeniable synchronicity of it all? An alignment of so many serendipitous events that it couldn't be anything other than fate. Try to grab on to that feeling now and know that some magic is afoot. Gorgeous. I just love the richness and the deepness of these colors. This is so pretty. Okay, salamander, meaning the alchemical process, harnessing your internal flame. In alchemical thought, the salamander is strongly linked to the element of fire and plays a catalytic role in the process of alchemy. The poisonous bodies of salamanders are sacrificed to complete the philosopher's stone, which is the great work of such a practice, symbolizing the perfection of enlightenment. The arrival of this amphibious friend means that your internal fire is now required for your own alchemical transformation. Sometimes it is important to reflect on what ignites your internal flame, what inspires you, excites you, makes you come alive. Often feelings of fear, excitement, and anticipation go hand in hand. Move closer to this combination of emotions now. In this chapter of your life, it is necessary to push the envelope and challenge yourself by stepping outside the bubble of comfort. You already know what exists there. Try something new instead. Further reflection. Nothing changes if nothing changes, and the entire purpose of alchemy is experimental transformation. You are being asked to try on a new shape or size. While it doesn't mean that you must commit to the first new size you try on, being brave enough to step into something new does signal that you won't be able to return to everything you once knew. And honestly, why would you want to? That reminds me of what is it called? The Alchemy of the Cave, where the person who is tied up in the cave ends up leaving the cave and they can't go back, right? Because he has a whole new world to explore. It's beautiful. I love it. Snake. I'm going to take a drink of my coffee. That is now cold. Okay. Snake, meaning the divine feminine, a spiritual awakening, healing. The snake is one of the oldest known symbols of the goddess, and it has a powerful correspondence in the occult. The snake is rich in meaning and revered in many cultures, with one of the most famous representations being that of Kundalini, a snake goddess believed to be triggered at the start of a profound spiritual awakening. If the snake has graced your reading with its presence, it's likely you are undergoing this process now. Just as a snake shedding its skin is a sure sign of its growth, you may be experiencing old beliefs or versions of yourself falling away now. Recognize that this is a necessary part of your healing journey. Often, after we've undergone a profoundly difficult or painful time, we emerge on the other side feeling as though we are a completely different person. To fully embrace this new authentic version of yourself, it is necessary to let fall away what must fall away to complete this process of integration. Shed the dead weight and welcome in this healthier version of yourself. The snake may also be a sign that the goddess, the divine feminine, is calling out to you. Say hello. This reminds me of the Eight of Cups, right? Walking away from that which no longer serves you, right? Further reflection. Throughout much of history, and especially during global colonization and the spread of the Abrahamic religions, the feminine aspects of the divine have been snuffed out. Think of the story of Adam and Eve and how it is the snake that leads Eve into temptation and ultimately to the original sin. Think of Medusa. Think of people's fear of snakes. Feminine power has been feared for so long, and because of this, it has been twisted and distorted into something that is bad, ugly, evil, or less than. Luckily, the reclaiming of the feminine is on the rise, and with it, the dismantling of these grossly misconstrued ideas. Regardless of gender identity, we all possess feminine and masculine energy within us. Just as we must integrate our unknown shadow side to become a healthy and balanced human, so too must we integrate our feminine energy. Society has a lot of ideas about what femininity looks like, but what does it mean to you? Now is the time to define this side of yourself. Amazing. Moose. Moose, meaning a formidable obstacle or opponent, giving something too much power. The majestic moose is an intimidatingly large beast. Until you've experienced the presence of one in real life, it's difficult to appreciate the true impact of their stature. And once you have seen a moose in real life, their mammoth size is truly unforgettable. That is so true. My car almost got run over by a moose. It was so huge. Oh my goodness. I'll never forget that moose. If the moose card appears in your reading, something in your life feels just as large and intimidating as this creature. Whatever this obstacle is, a person, a situation, a problem that needs to be solved, it seems insurmountable and has left you feeling paralyzed and small in comparison. As formidable as the situation may feel, be careful not to give anything too much power or importance. Remember that perception is everything, and the dread is often worse than the deed. It's quite possible that in fact the anxiety this situation has caused you has enabled this thing to cast a larger shadow than it deserves. The longer you avoid it, the bigger it will become. Take action. Further reflection. Read the story David and Goliath and reflect on how David defeats the armored giant with a single stone. Then reflect on how you might tackle your own obstacle in a simple yet surprising way. That's amazing. Jellyfish, meaning releasing expectation, ease, flow, instincts. Of all the creatures in the sea, the jellyfish is a bit of an oddball. They are around 95% water and don't have a brain, heart, or bones. Without a central nervous system, they rely solely on the sensitive nerve endings at the base of their tentacles to detect touch, temperature, and the flow of the ocean. Their lack of resistance to the ocean currents enables them to navigate their underwater world with ease. Humans know more about outer space than we do about our own oceans, which is wild when you consider the fact that oceans cover 71% of the Earth's surface. There are depths that humans can't begin, humans haven't been able to explore because the pressure of the ocean is so great that it crushes submarines. And yet the jellyfish has mastered the art of traversing the vast oceans, of harnessing the powerful currents to help them along their paths. They instinctively know that resistance is futile, and if they can just embrace the flow, they will be carried far and wide. When jellyfish energy is present, there is something in this wisdom that can help you now. Have you considered that needing to be in control or feeling tied to a certain outcome may be holding you back? When we can embrace the current situation for what it truly is, we are freed from the chains of our expectations, and the weight of stress is lifted. When we can find peace in the present and go with the natural cycles of our lives with trust, we may end up not where we expected to be, but somewhere better. Further reflection. Meditate on this famous quote from Bruce Lee. Be like water making its way through cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you shall find a way around or through it. If nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will disclose themselves. Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. If you put water into a bottle, and it becomes the bottle. Put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. That is gorgeous. I love Bruce Lee. Spider, meaning weaving your own destiny, creative freedom, inner genius. The spider is the ultimate creator, tapping into its inner genius to weave the perfect web required to entangle its prey. Free from any outside influence of how the web should be, the spider relies solely on its own wants, needs, and desires to achieve its goals. Like the snake and the eagle, the spider is another symbol that has permeated cultures and spiritual communities throughout history and around the globe. If either or both of these cards appears along with the spider, take that as an affirmation that you are deep into your own spiritual initiation and indeed along the right path. Regardless, the spider asks us about our own inner genius. We all have one, and it's likely that yours is begging to come out. Relinquish the traps of perfectionism, comparison, and admiration. Cut off and cut out any outside distractions that do not feed the authenticity of your inner genius. Whatever it is that is waiting to be unleashed from within is perfect just the way it is, because it is yours. Consider that concepts such as good, bad, pretty, and ugly are subjective and are often reductive labels that have nothing to offer something that is raw, powerful, or important. Further reflection. The ancient Greeks coined the word daemon, which refers to the genius of an individual. It is believed that each of us has a daemon, and it is this helpful or benevolent spirit that helps us to nourish this genius. If you could pinpoint your daemon, what would it be? Write it a letter, introduce yourself, make an offering. Wow. Wow. These cards just keep getting better and better. Doe, meaning receptivity, birth, beginnings. Perhaps the gentlest of all creatures, the doe moves in silence and serenity. She is at one with the world around her, drinking in each sound, movement, and disturbance, especially those so minuscule they are virtually undetectable to human senses. Her receptive nature enables her to navigate the surrounding environment with precision. If doe energy is present in your reading, you too would be wise to observe, process, and receive. There may be many things in your life that are shifting. A new cycle is being born. A new beginning is emerging. Whatever this fresh start means for you, welcome it with the gentleness and serenity of the doe. It is likely the cycle of death that preceded this moment was an intense, maybe even dark one. Take heed of its necessity, though especially if the white tail is also present in this reading. Now, as the light returns to overtake the darkness, be open to receiving it. Further reflection. If you've ever crossed paths with a deer in nature, you know how sensitive they are to even the slightest disturbance in their environment, be it a sound, smell, or sight. You also know how quick they are to flee the scene. Sometimes opportunities are also fleeting, and if we aren't ready to act when they present themselves, we can miss out. However, there is also value in knowing when to let something simmer for a while to reveal its true nature. Which of these is necessary now? Hermit crab, meaning necessary withdrawal, introspection, exploration of the inner landscape, growth. The tiny hermit crab scuttles along the ocean floor, ready to strike out and explore the surrounding environment. Despite its name, this crustacean isn't much of a hermit. That said, thanks to a trusty seashell home, this busybody knows when it's time to retreat inside. When the energy of the hermit crab has arrived in a reading, a certain withdrawal from the outside world is imperative. This card is a call to explore our inner landscape in search of answers, rather than to search for them in an outside source. When we are growing, we often reach a milestone in our journey that requires us to take a step back and pose questions to ourselves. If we rely too heavily on the opinions of others, these influences can drown out our own inner voice. To remain true to ourselves, a certain amount of alone time is required to let that voice have room to speak up. For those of us who commit to the spiritual journey in a serious way, the energy of this card probably feels familiar. As much as we can learn from others, the spiritual path is ultimately one we walk alone. Very true. Carve out some time for yourself and see what wisdom rises to the surface. You might surprise yourself. Further reflection. We all possess the potential for spiritual gifts. Unlike the movies, however, the messages we receive from spirit through these psychic senses are incredibly subtle, almost a whisper. Sometimes we are present enough to grab hold, and other times the messages pass us by. Many mediums and psychics know this and spend as much time as they can away from scenes or away from screens and the countless distractions and noise of everyday life. Now is the time for you to learn the value of silence. When you cut out the static of everyone else, what inner wisdom and extrasensory experiences make themselves known? Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Hen, meaning submission. Hens are notoriously submissive animals. When a rooster approaches one, she will crouch down immediately into a squat in preparation for mating. Without attention and intervention from a farmer, hens will submit so often that their health will start to deteriorate. While submission isn't inherently bad, the absence of appropriate strong boundaries swiftly makes it so. To pull the hen card in a reading indicates there are certain power dynamics at play, and the circumstances are asking you to grapple with the idea of submission, especially if the rooster card has also been pulled. Each of us falls into submission somewhere in our lives. There are times when it is necessary, but it's likely this card is pointing to an interpersonal relationship and asking if you've become too submissive, too meek to somebody else. If a certain person or relationship immediately comes to mind as you read the description of this card, you're right on the money. How are you playing small? How are you showing up as a lesser version of yourself? More importantly, how can you reclaim your confidence and power? This is a call to assert yourself. Further reflection. An alternative way to think about this card is the idea of power play in relationships. Many couples explore these dynamics in and out of the bedroom. Which role do you usually take on in your relationships? And what could it be like to take on the opposite role, just for fun? Beyond that, what does a balanced power dynamic look like for you? Beautiful. Giraffe, meaning balance between the head and the heart, the worldly and otherworldly, walking between worlds. As the tallest mammal in the world, a giraffe lives with its feet planted solidly on the ground and its head up in the clouds, which gives this creature an interestingly balanced experience between the tangible and the intangible. When the giraffe shows up in our readings, we are being called to find this place of balance and operate from it. How many times have you heard people talk about their head and their heart? That they're at war with one another, or for example, or that the heart says one thing and the brain another. Well, the giraffe card asks us to put equal weight in our practical, logical, objective side and our emotional, spiritual, intuitive side. There exists an intersection where both aspects of ourselves meet, where they agree and tell us the same thing. Take a moment to pause and ask yourself, on which side of the spectrum do you fall right now? Are you approaching something too logically and could benefit from allowing your emotions to come forward? Or is it the opposite? Wherever you are, know that a space exists where we can find peace, balance, and resolution. It is here that your answer is hiding. Further reflection. When we cannot access our intuition, it is often because something in our everyday physical life needs our attention. Perhaps the opposite can also be true. Maybe there's something in our emotional or spiritual life that needs attention when logic seems to escape us. For those of us who walk the spiritual path, we know these two worlds are inextricably intertwined. This is how we can walk in two worlds at once, by recognizing that they are one and the same, and both hold equal weight. Move toward the space you know could use a little more energy now. Porcupine. Meaning, ancestral wisdom. The porcupine, with its body covered in insurmountable sharp quills, is a curious creature. Many indigenous peoples revere this traveling spike ball as a personification of ancestral wisdom, with each quill representing a different person and a different lesson or piece of knowledge to be shared. The Arapaho, for example, revere the porcupine for being able to travel between the physical and the spiritual realm. If you are deeply rooted in the culture of your family and ancestors, this card is a signal to dive deeper into your relationship with them. Consider engaging in activities relevant to your cultures, such as cooking their food, speaking their language, or erecting an altar to your loved ones on the other side. Ask them to share their wisdom with you. If you are someone who isn't in touch with your roots for whatever reason, it's okay. Sometimes delving into the subject of family can be a painful one, especially if the generations of those who came before us are people whose qualities or values don't align with who we are. If you are one of those people, take a moment to contemplate the bigger picture of the ancestors we all spring from, the first humans who walked this earthly plane, from which we all share a common root. Their wisdom is lying dormant inside of you, too, waiting for an invitation to speak up. Make room. Further reflection. The energy of this card is like the famous saying in the occult community, as above, so below, as without, so within, as the universe, so the soul. The idea behind this macrocosm versus microcosm, there are many who subscribe to the idea that we are a piece of the universe manifested as human, a divine piece of consciousness that is recognizing itself. Imagine the incredible vastness contained within each of us, then full of the profound, unfathomability of knowledge and wisdom that exists outside of time. How can you engage with this larger idea of ancestral wisdom? Hint, the answers are within you. Of course they are. Beautiful. Penguin. Meaning, family and close relationships, social life. A gregarious critter, the penguin is all about family and loved ones, doing everything it can to provide for its close relationships. A penguin is almost never by itself, knowing that a solid system of support is key to the survival of both the individual and the species. Humans are wired similarly. If you've pulled this card in your reading, it's time to reach out to your support system. This looks different for each of us, of course, and may include family, friends, lovers, and even co-workers. Regardless of what your system looks like, something about the situation at hand requires you to reach out. Spend time with those who bring joy, peace, and healing. You've suffered in silence long enough. Let your loved ones be there for you. It's also possible that whatever you're going through directly involves your loved ones. If this is the case, it's time to weigh the importance of this relationship in your life. Do you want or even need this relationship to continue? If the answer is yes, is this conflict doing more damage to the relationship than it's worth? We must learn to pick our battles wisely, regardless of how this card applies to your current circumstance. The message is clear. Reach out to those who care about you, or you care about. Further reflection. One of Jung's 12 archetypes is the everyman. This archetype looks at the individual versus the group dynamic. When this archetype is well integrated, the everyman is thriving in their social circles and can feel strong in both their own individuality as well as their identity within the group. This, of course, can be a fluid and dynamic balance to master. Think of the situation or question that brought you to use this deck today. What feelings emerge when you think about unburdening yourself by telling somebody you love and trust what you're going through? Very thought-provoking descriptions. What do you think? Skunk, meaning alternative solutions, resourcefulness. As one of the most infamous members of the animal kingdom, the skunk is a force to be reckoned with. Armed with a smelly spray that can drive away even the most aggressive predators, the skunk knows how to get and keep what it wants. Its defensive tactics are also some of the most unique around. If skunk energy is present, you too could benefit from tapping into your resourcefulness and finding a solution through innovative means. Kind of reminds me of Seven of Swords energy, right? If you've pulled this card, it's likely you've been trusting your tried and true methods to solve a problem, but it seems the harder you try, the more elusive the solution is. Consider for a moment the resources that exist outside of you. Sometimes the answer really does lie in another person. Seeking the help of someone you respect and trust may be necessary now. They will bring not only a fresh set of eyes to the issue, but they probably also hold a different perspective or approach that may be the key to the lock. It may simply be that you need a sounding board, someone who can help you get in touch with qualities or tactics you possess that you hadn't thought of yet. Alternatively, it could just be that you need to step away from whatever it is and give yourself some time and space to think without actually engaging with it. Step outside the box. Further reflection. In astrology, we look to the axis of Leo and Aquarius as the signs of creativity. Sometimes this can literally be about artistic creativity, but more often it isn't. Both signs bring a unique perspective to things and are good at coming up with creative, sometimes avant-garde solutions to problems. The difference between the two is that Leo wants to stand out from the crowd and allow their gifts to shine, which is to say they want the credit for themselves, while Aquarius seeks to both serve the group and to blend into it. Groupthink isn't always a bad thing. Which one of these energies is necessary now? Remember that even if you don't have any Leo or Aquarius placements in your birth chart, both signs still rule a house, an area of life in your chart. Research where they are and what it means. Devil. Meaning, addiction, abuse, aggression, control. Just like a few others in the deck, the Devil is a special card representing more of a mythical creature or concept. Should the Devil card appear in a reading, there is something sinister at play that requires total, ruthless honesty on your end. This card is a call to get real about the patterns, behaviors, or cycles you are perpetuating that are unhealthy. This, in a way, is the very essence of shadow work. As a byproduct of life, each of us inevitably has at least a few ways in which we tend to self-sabotage. This is the moment to name them. Is it addiction, abuse, codependency, something else? How are you engaging in perpetuating this pattern now? This card isn't to poke at guilt and shame, nor to trigger any traumas. It is, however, a calling out. It's highly probable that you're already aware of these behaviors and know that they don't serve you, even if there is comfort and familiarity. Continuing to sabotage yourself only holds you back from your truest potential. It may feel scary to let go, but it's time to change the narrative. What is the first step? Name it. Write it down. Take it. Further reflection. Power and control aren't always a bad thing. As humans, we often seek these things out after our power and control has been taken from us. In essence, much of the occult path surrounds regaining empowerment and controlling our impulses and unhealthy behaviors to evolve and grow into better, healthier, more capable people. Pluto and Scorpio are both energies in astrology that deal with the matters of addiction, abuse, power, and control. So does Saturn. In evolutionary astrology, we look to all three energies in the chart to unpack long-standing trauma and the karma we're reaping. We unfortunately circle back to these same themes time and again, each time learning something new. When channeled correctly, many of these unhealthy tendencies can transform into unbreakable will, an incredible power. How can you redirect this energy to better serve you? Beautiful. Alligator. Meaning hidden enemies, survival. If you've been to the swamp, you know that even if you can't see them under the surface of any body of fresh water, an alligator is lurking. Alligators are not to be trifled with. They wait just underneath the placid surface until their prey gets close enough to the water's edge, at which point they jump out, snap down their bone-crushing jaws, and drag their meal underwater to drown it. This watery predator moves with surprising speed and precision, too quickly for the animal to react or recoil. If you've pulled the alligator card, you too have a hidden enemy lurking in your environment. Now is the time to tap into your intuition. If something or somebody makes you feel wary, it's for a reason. Not everyone is who they seem, and it's possible that someone is waiting for that moment to strike when your defenses are low. This isn't meant to encourage paranoia, but to serve as a reminder that your gut instinct is the right one. If you don't trust someone, keep your distance. Alternatively, it's possible that you are in survival mode thanks to past experiences that have left you feeling mistrustful. Take some time to discern which energy is present now, keeping in mind that it may be a little of both. Further reflection. When we are in survival mode, our nervous system is out of whack. The frontal lobe of our brain, which controls our judgment and the ability to see the bigger picture, isn't functioning as it should. This can also manifest as root chakra issues. The root chakra is our lowest energy center, and it deals with concerns about safety. Take the time to ground yourself and really listen to your body. What makes you feel safe in your body and the surrounding environment? Give yourself those things today. These are gorgeous cards. I'm really loving them. Let me know what you think of them in the comment section. Crow, meaning death, psychic abilities. The crow is perhaps one of the most famous symbols of witchcraft and the occult, and is certainly an incredibly popular one. It is linked most often to psychic abilities, spiritual messages, and even death. As crows are gregarious creatures, it's common to see them in huge flocks. They can be quite noisy, making it nearly impossible to miss when they've crossed your path. When the crow card is present, it's time to pay attention to your psychic senses, messages, and to greet the doorway of death. Often, when we speak of death through the metaphysical lens, we are speaking of metaphorical death, not corporeal death. There is an ending that is presenting itself to you now, whether you take it or not. It may feel painful and even downright scary to walk through this threshold and embrace this death, but we must prune away the dead leaves to allow energy to flow to the new growth. It is often through these deaths that spiritual awakenings and their accompanying psychic gifts emerge. It is here in the void that endless potential for creation is formed. Plants first grow under the dirt, in the dark, fertile soil, before they can break the surface to reach the sunlight. Further reflection. It's possible that plant allies may be a helpful resource to you at this stage in your life. It's no secret that a vast array of plants is used medicinally across many, many cultures. One of the most diverse groups of medicinal uses is found in decomposers, mushrooms. They are more essential to life here on Earth than most people realize, and they too require darkness to thrive. Offering life is sustainability through the process of death. Wow. Turkey. Okay, sorry about that. My battery ran out, so let's just get back to it. These are gorgeous cards. Let's see, we left off here at Turkey. Turkey, meaning primal instincts, staying wild and free. There is a pronounced difference between a domesticated turkey and a wild one. Domesticated turkeys are notoriously dumb and homogeneous, while their wild counterparts are much more cunning. This juxtaposition highlights the benefits of staying wild and free on multiple levels, which is also reflected in the darker, more detailed plumage on turkeys found in the wild. If turkey energy is present, you are being called to find the value in your own wild and free spirit. As we move through life, we are confronted with many different messages about the way we're supposed to be. It's very possible that we have been given conflicting messages from different people. However, it's important to recognize that people love to project. We all do it from time to time, but others' expectations of us are really about them and have nothing to do with us at the root. This card is an invitation to get back in touch with your true essence, the wild spirit that you possess inside that only wants to be free. Who are you without the weight and projections of society, other people, your family, and friends? Trust yourself. Trust your instincts. Give yourself permission to just be and know that you are good enough just as you are. Further reflection. We can be whoever we want to be at any given moment. And indeed, there are many hats that we must wear to successfully navigate different situations. However, at the base of all these versions of you is just you. And this person has carried you through every trial, tribulation, and victory. Celebrate that person. Show compassion to that person. Invite them to come forward and show up in whatever way feels the most natural. Okay. I really love the rich colors of these cards. Cardinal, meaning angelic presence, love, divinity, empathy, devotion, passion. The brilliantly red cardinal is most often thought of as a harbinger of divine messages and signals the presence of visitors from heaven. These might be loved ones who visit us from the other side, spirit guides, or even an angelic presence. To pull the cardinal in a reading is a sure sign that you are watched over and protected by divine forces and unconditional love. If you have recently lost someone you love, the cardinal signals their presence around you. Outside of their connection to higher realms of consciousness, cardinals are often associated with love, harmony, bliss, and devotion. As these ruby red lovers mate for life, this is a call to get honest with yourself and your heart. Who and what are you devoted to right now? Our hearts burn with passion for many things, and it's important to do what we can to tend to our passions to ensure they stay alive. If you feel out of touch with your heart, and its desires, this is your sign to find a way to open back up. When our hearts are open, we can greet everyone and everything with compassion, empathy, and tenderness. Further reflection. How does looking at a situation through the lens of compassion shift your perspective? How does looking at yourself through this lens change you? Who or what makes you feel alive? Name it out loud. Move closer to it. Beautiful. My goodness, I love these cards. Kangaroo. Meaning, raw energy, vitality, optimism. The kangaroo is full of energy and is often depicted in movies and cartoons in the fighting ring, boxing gloves and all. The raw energy that courses through the kangaroo fuels its tireless vitality, enabling this animal to spring into or away from action at a moment's notice. When the kangaroo card has sprung into your reading, exciting things are at play. At its core, this card signals a boost in our life force. Perhaps we have recovered from illness or finally feel better after being depressed for a long time. Either way, there is a surge of physical vitality that is renewing our spirits. To match that, there is also a surge of optimism infusing our spirit now, or there will be soon. Embrace this positive energy as much as you can and take action to make the most of it. If you feel ready to spring into action, do it. There is palpable potential to be harnessed. You just must decide where and how to direct it. Don't be so hasty to act that you go in unprepared. But in this case, a fast and loose plan may serve you best. Seize the moment, as they say. Further reflection. Now is the time to recognize the potential that lies both within you and all around you. Raw energy is useless without somewhere to go. Whatever inspires you and makes you feel alive is the direction in which to move. Through these avenues, you can cultivate even more optimism and energy. Consider also that optimism is a state of mind, regardless of outside circumstances. It is knowing and trusting that whatever is happening in this moment is best for the moment. Shadow person, meaning the unrecognized self. This entire deck is devoted to the journey of becoming acquainted with the unrecognized self. The part of us that feels ever elusive, slipping in and out of the shadows, difficult to pin down and ever have a real conversation with. However, if the shadow person happens to pop up in your pool, you have the fleeting luck of doing just that. Your unrecognized self has arrived to have an honest conversation with you. Whatever inner work you've been doing has thrust a level of self-awareness upon you, and your shadow is ready for integration. It can be difficult to know the next steps when we reach this point in our journey. Sometimes just knowing those qualities exist can feel like enough, and maybe it is. Take this opportunity to ask this side of yourself what it wants. what it needs, where it would like to live now. How can you rectify the resistance and make peace with its demands? Remember that this is a real part of your essence. Show yourself compassion and understanding instead of shame or guilt. We all have pieces of ourselves that struggle to fit. Further reflection. Read up on Jung's 12 archetypes. They exist both in light and shadow, but all 12 live within us. Which one resonates with you most profoundly right now? Have a conversation with that side of yourself. Interesting. Turtle. Meaning, patience, divine timing. Do you remember the fable of the tortoise and the hare? The phrase, slow and steady wins the race, emerged from this age-old story, which, if you're an impatient person, you've probably heard 1,000 times. This card removes the race altogether and instead brings the concept of divine timing forward. When the turtle appears in a reading, patience and trust are required. Things are likely moving at a frustratingly glacial pace, causing both faith and patience to wear thin. However, it's also possible that this is a test regarding trust. Whenever divine timing is at play, we usually don't realize it in the moment. We are angry, dejected, frustrated, and confused, especially if the situation is out of our control and all we can do is wait. However, even if we can't see it or understand it, the divine timing of our lives unfolds when it goes for a reason, or when it does for a reason. Divine timing of our lives unfolds when it does for a reason. Okay. Trust that things will align when they are supposed to. All things have their time, including us, including this. Further reflection. The concept of time is something that has fascinated humanity across the ages. Think of all the quotes you've heard or read surrounding time. Scientists study it closely. Dali is famous for his melting clocks. Our entire lives are dictated by time. Now contemplate all the animals in this deck. They have no clocks, no schedules, no meetings, and yet everything unfolds in nature exactly as it should. Imagine if you too could pass your days without the burden of time. What would you spend that energy on instead? Amazing. Amazing. Boar. Meaning the destroyer, the self-sabotage. Wild boars are fascinating creatures. They live in large groups all over the world, are incredibly strong, and trample down trees and bushes to create paths for traveling and hunting. Boars can be extremely aggressive when provoked, leaving a trail of destruction in their paths. If the boar card appears in a reading, you are in the realm of the destroyer. Despite the negative connotations associated with the archetype of the destroyer, this energy isn't inherently a bad thing. Think of the adage, destruction is a form of creation. Very often, to be able to build something new, whatever has been taking up space must first be leveled to the ground. Change is brought about by the destruction of outdated systems. Revolutions are triggered by the immediate need for a complete overhaul. Something in your life is begging for this very uprising. However, we must also recognize the prosperity or propensity for this energy to be harmful to both ourselves and others around us. Are you destroying to create something better? Or are you sabotaging something good because it feels scary or uncomfortable? Radical change is born through radical honesty. Further reflection. In astrology, we look to Pluto as both the destroyer and the creator. The intensity of undergoing a Plutonian cycle is first felt through the metaphorical death of something old, toxic, or threadbare. As much as we may struggle through the pain of this death, the destruction is inevitable. We can run, but we can't hide. Eventually, Pluto catches up with us and demands that we let go of the things that have long been weighing us down. Resistance is futile, and by doing this, we only make the process harder on ourselves. Uranus is also the planet of radical change in astrology. Though Uranian cycles happen seemingly overnight, research the myths of both these energies. Which one feels relevant now? Tiger, meaning carnal desire or carnal desires, opulence. The regal tiger has inspired both awe and fear in humans across centuries. It is often admired and desired for its beautiful coat, fang-like teeth, and deadly claws. If you've ever been in the presence of the mighty tiger, it's easy to understand why. Everything about a tiger feels carnal, powerful, and full of desire. You too embody this Eros of if you pull this card in a reading. There is a hunger that exists within all of us. What is it that fuels the beast inside? It may be a person, a place, a thing. If you feel this hunger churning, it's time to feed. Your passions can be an incredible primordial force of power that we can use to embrace deep fulfillment and pleasure. Alternatively, you may be in the incredible flow of luxury and abundance. Regardless, something there is a deep, tangible pleasure calling out to you now. Initiate yourself into its mysteries. Look to the other cards around the tiger for clues. Further reflection. What is your relationship to pleasure? Where do you feel it in your body? When was the last time you intentionally cultivated and engaged with it? Eros is a Greek word that describes the ways in which we express our physical passion and desire. It is also an asteroid in astrology that we can look to for help in unlocking this expression and fulfillment. This asteroid can be located through many different online astrology sites. Locate yours, then invite Eros energy in through anything that feels erotic and delicious. Rooster. Let me just get a drink of my coffee. Good. Meaning dominance. As the male half of this deck's poultry duo, the rooster exhibits incredible dominance. These birds are naturally territorial, aggressive, and in charge. If another rooster enters the flock, the two are quick to battle it out. If rooster energy is at play, you may find yourself being challenged by another alpha and having to assert your dominance. If this card has arrived alongside the hen, then you are in the arena of power plays. Who is in submission and who is dominant? If you are feeling territorial or jealous, ask yourself why. Is it necessary for you to stand up for what's yours, or is this a moment to hang back? It's also possible that you are disregarding the boundaries and needs of other people to make sure you're the top dog. If that's the case, it's time to take a step back and recognize that relationships of all kinds work best where there is mutual respect for each other's autonomy. Just as you don't want to be stepped on, neither does anybody else. Further reflection. Consider the concept of peacocking, a term used when someone is showing off and making themselves bigger and bolder than they really are. There is a fine line between confidence and arrogance. One is rooted deeply in insecurity and the need to overcompensate, whereas the other is steadfast and tends to be much quieter. True confidence does not need to boast or brag, and real leaders know the value in respecting the people who follow them. Beautiful. Mallard, meaning the subconscious mind, the dream state. A mallard is probably what comes to mind when you imagine a duck, as they are found virtually everywhere across the globe. This instant association is an example of how our subconscious mind speaks to us every day, almost like a reflex. Just as the mallard duck glides effortlessly across the surface of water, this card asks us to examine the natural, deeply ingrained patterns in our subconscious mind. Perhaps the easiest way to examine the subconscious mind is through our dreams. As opaque and sometimes ridiculous as they can be, dreams continue to be studied deeply by psychologists and spiritual experts. When we dream, our subconscious is allowed to run free, and it feeds us images, symbols, and themes of whatever is buried underneath the surface. The energy of the mallard asks us to examine our dreams. Perhaps you could benefit from keeping a dream journal and beginning to explore the meaning behind yours. There is an incredible wealth of information to be harvested through dreams. Our dreams are also one of the main highways through which spirit tries to reach us. Further reflection. In the birth chart, the 12th house represents the subconscious mind, among other things. It is a deeply spiritual house, and the only house in the birth chart that never receives light from the sun. Through the 12th house, we can get in touch with our spiritual gifts, past lives, and the parts of us that lay just outside of our conscious perception, in the subconscious. People who have placements in the 12th house such as the moon, are often vivid dreamers. If you are a vivid dreamer, it's highly possible that you have something in your birth chart that lives in the 12th house. Find out. Well, now I'm curious and I have to go look at my chart. How about you? Let me know if you're going to look at your chart after this. Unicorn, meaning synchronicity, magic, something special. The mythical unicorn is a special creature appearing across tales of magic for hundreds of years. There are those who believe unicorns may have existed at one time, and those who know the true essence of the unicorn can only be captured in their hearts. Should the mystical unicorn card turn up in a pull, something special is happening in your life, and it's time to pay attention to the synchronicities and magic all around you. The universe is constantly sending us messages for those who are on the spiritual path. You are probably familiar with the idea of synchronicities, the aligning of things that confirm we're on the right path or answer a question we have. Popular synchronicities include things like angel numbers, repeating numbers, such as 444 or 777, full body goosebumps. Reading or hearing something that is exactly what we needed, and so on. With the unicorn's arrival, you may have been experiencing a lot of these lately. However, it's also possible that you know you're on to something big, which may even feel like a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Pay special attention to the world around you now and take advantage of this unique and beautiful energy to birth something significant. The implications of this moment will reach further than you know. Further reflection. Research the meaning behind angel numbers. Research numerology. Research whatever it is you feel drawn to and consider how that energy could be of use to you now. Further than that, engage in childlike wonder and awe at the splendor of it all. Snail. Meaning, slow but steady progress, the right path. The adorable snail chugs along at a glacial pace. Not known for making fast movements, they could move so slowly it often appears they're scarcely moving at all. However, just like the turtle, the snail always seems to get where it's going. To pull the steadfast snail is a signal that you're in alignment with the universe, walking the best path for you, even if it feels like you are standing still. Life has a funny way of testing us, either by having everything happen everywhere, all at once, or not at all. Unfortunately, you find yourself in the not at all portion of the test. As frustrating or disheartening as this may be, remember that we don't always see the payoff of our efforts immediately, nor can we see the things happening behind the scenes all the time. This card is a sign that you're doing all the right things, and this period calls for more of the same. Trust the progress, or trust the process. God, I've heard that for 2 years. And let things unfold as they are ready to, and not a moment sooner. I think I needed to really hear this one. Further reflection. In astrology, Saturn is a heavy planet that teaches us about hard work, responsibility, and limitations. These are lessons that require a certain maturity and experience before we can fully appreciate their value. The energy of the snail card is very Saturnian in this sense. Though we may feel like nothing is happening, the slow season of time nevertheless allows us to cultivate a bigger, sweeter reward in the end. I almost started reading the next one. Squirrel, meaning work-life balance, planning for the future. The fluffy-tailed squirrel is a busybody, constantly climbing, running around, exploring, and foraging for food. As the seasons begin to turn in the latter half of the year in the northern hemisphere, the active squirrel prepares for winter by burying nuts and seeds in the ground for later. Whenever squirrel energy is present, make no mistake, you are being asked to look ahead in your journey and plan accordingly. Do you have all your ducks in a row, or in this case, a sufficient supply of food stored for the long journey ahead? You need a plan, and a solid one. Depending on your personality, creating a plan may or may not feel daunting. But whatever you're trying to accomplish requires attention to detail and great foresight. Take the time to write out your plan, step by step, to have an adequate solution and some structure that will benefit you later. It's typically better to be overprepared than underprepared. You'll thank yourself later. Further reflection. The squirrel card may also bring to light the idea of a work-life balance. All work and no play, as they say. Check in with yourself and see where your priorities are. Is there something that is sucking up too much of your time and attention? How can you free up some time, space, and energy to give attention to the other things in your life? Remember that work is only one slice of the pie. Swan, meaning soulmates, a special connection with someone else. The swan is a bird revered for its beauty and grace. They are a rather rare sight in many parts of the world, and there is something extraordinary about seeing a pair of elegant swans together, just as swans wait to find the perfect match, knowing they will mate for life. This card is an affirmation that you've found yourself a truly special connection. There is something more profound about the energy between you, where love and deep understanding just seem to flow. Keep in mind, this connection may not be romantic. However, the person whoever the person is that comes to mind as you read this description, that's the relationship the swan is pointing to. Perhaps this relationship is a big focus in your life right now, or maybe it needs to be a bigger one. Reach out to this person, spend time in their company, and share what's in your heart. Allow the ease and flow of understanding, love, compassion, and deep nurturing to nourish your soul. It may also be that they need this same energy from you now. Offer up a listening ear and share your deep gratitude for their presence in your life. Further reflection. A common misconception regarding soulmates is that these relationships are meant to be lifelong. Sometimes that is true, but sometimes a soulmate is meant to come into your life, teach you something big, and then leave. It's important to be able to discern which relationships are which, and to know when it's time to let them go. This card, however, is about the soulmates who are meant to stay. Often, these relationships are a love that has nothing to do with romance. It could be an important friend, family member, or other close loved one. Call them. Fox, meaning trickster energy, sly, slippery, elusive, clever. That saying, sly like a fox, exists for a reason. Just when you think you've got the fox pinned down, this slippery friend pulls another trick from its sleeve and escapes once again. In many cultures, the fox is associated with the trickster archetype, as well often a character in stories that fools the protagonist over and over. If the clever fox has wiggled into a reading of yours, this trickster energy is asking for your attention. A situation has arrived that requires you to think on your feet or be very cunning in your approach. Whatever is going on, you must be clever. When we are in the theater of the trickster, everyone is wearing a mask, including you. Clarity may feel elusive, just out of reach, no matter what you do, and certainly there is drama. Be very smart about your next move and consider the image your mask is presenting. Further reflection. In Norse mythology, Loki is the trickster god. In Roman mythology, this title belongs to Mercury. While the connotations that the word trickster carries are often negative, these trickster gods are always having a good time with their schemes. Drama and glamour go hand in hand with this energy, and they are two things that are highly prized in modern society. Indeed, people lead lifelong successful careers in the art of just that. How can you channel these ideals to serve you now? You can make yourself up to whatever you need to be. Wow. Tricky, tricky fox. Bear. There we go. Meaning the mother, reparenting. The mighty mother bear has a dangerous reputation as one of the fiercest animals around. A mama bear commands respect and a wide berth. Other animals in the environment, including humans, know to steer clear of her young, as the mother is never far behind. Because of her protective nature, the bear card represents our relationship with our own mother and mothering in general. For better or worse, when the energy of the bear is present, it may be our actual relationship with our mom that is influencing the situation. Perhaps there is something big happening with her, or maybe there is tension between the two of you. Even if the situation is less overt than that, mom is ultimately at the root of the scenario. If you are estranged from your mother or don't have the best relationship with her, it could be maternal issues coming to rear their ugly head. Regardless, you are being asked to look at your relationship to mothering. If your needs weren't met growing up, how can you, as your own parent, show up and meet them now? It may also be that there's another mother figure you can turn to for support, one who embodies both the nurturing and fiercely protective energies of the bear. Well, obviously, they haven't met a mama dragon. Further reflection. As we become adults, many of us must confront the idea of reparenting. Ultimately, the people who raised us are also imperfect. Even if they did their best, their efforts could have fallen short of the mark sometimes. While it is true that our childhood conditioning and therefore issues follows us long into adulthood, at the end of it all, only we are responsible for our healing. The bear and its companion, the cub, ask us about how we can redefine these relationships within ourselves. Even if your emotional needs weren't met as a child, you can take action to show up for yourself now. Oops. Cub, meaning the inner child. A companion to the bear card, the cub represents the cuter, younger half of this furry duo. It also represents the one who is being protected, rather than the protector. Although the cub card by itself is a call to get in touch with your inner child, if you've pulled mom and her baby in tandem, it's important to take note of who is playing each role in your current situation. It may also represent the duality that exists within us, within all of us. Where do you play the role of the protector, and where do you need more love, protection, and nurturing? The inner child is an interesting and elusive concept. There are plenty of us who grew up a little too fast due to circumstances outside our control. Perhaps real life asked us to take on more responsibility than was appropriate for a child. That's like the entire Gen X, right? Maybe we fell into a caretaking role too early, or our family dynamics didn't create a safe environment for our inner child to grow, blossom, and flourish. However, just because we feel out of touch with our inner child doesn't mean they aren't there. Now is the time to get in touch with little you in a big way. Think back to what you did for fun as a child. If you draw a blank, maybe it would help to think about what you would have done had the opportunity been there. Do that thing now. Release judgment of yourself and tell your inner child how proud of them you are. If the thought of being silly and talking to your inner child feels uncomfortable, you'll know you're on the right track. Further reflection. Children are constantly full of wonder and awe. When everything is new, everything is magical and special. When was the last time you felt childlike wonder welling up inside of you? When was the last time you did something for the first time? Carve out the time in the next few days to try something new and allow the inner joy and excitement of the unknown to bring you back to life. That is gorgeous. Rabbits. Meaning, fast-paced change, decision-making, the need to act. Rabbits are notorious for being skittish. They are hypervigilant and ready to act at the slightest hint of danger. The arrival of this card means you must embody the quick-acting nature of the rabbit now, as things are about to start changing at a fast pace. To pull this card hails the arrival of an opportunity, to be sure, but it is a fleeting one. It is imperative both to recognize this and to act in alignment with yourself. If you hesitate if you hesitate for too long, the moment will pass you by. But if you act too quickly, you may find yourself in over your head. While this is a delicate balance to strike, it is one that can be mastered. If you are someone who struggles with indecision or overanalyzing, the pressure of the moment may cause you to freeze. It may be helpful to step out of the logical and instead tune in to your gut instinct. Be ready to take action one way or another, but don't act out of fear. Further reflection. Ideally, the opportunity this card points to is an exciting one. It may even be an unexpected one. Often, there is a leap of faith that is required on some level. Trust yourself to roll with the punches and handle whatever is thrown at you, especially if you don't have time to plan everything out. There is plenty of potential present with the rabbit card, as these animals are often associated with fertility. Lion, meaning the divine masculine, pride, the father. Often referred to as the king of the animal kingdom, the lion embodies the energy of the divine masculine within us. The presence of this card may also point to a fatherly relationship, whether with your biological father or a chosen father figure. As with the bear card, the maternal relation, As with the bear card and maternal relations, our relationship with our dad may not always be a good or easy one. However, when we approach the archetype of the father through the lens of the divine, we are given the opportunity to define what this masculine energy needs to represent to us to feel empowering. When we speak of the divine masculine and feminine through the lens of spirituality, we aren't speaking about gender, but rather the two sides of nature that exist in all things. These energies are one way to think about the two halves that make us whole, and they exist on a spectrum in varying degrees. Masculine energy is often thought of as the active principle, the side of us that is ambitious, driven, and ready to make moves. Feminine is the passive principle, open, receptive, observing. The lion asks us about our relationship to our own masculine energy. What does this energy mean to you? What feelings arise when you read these words? Take pride in this part of you and nurture it well. Further reflection. The archetype of a king or ruler appears in both unevolved and evolved energy, just like everything else. The shadow version of a king is the tyrant, the authoritarian, the dictator. An enlightened ruler is benevolent and values the people who make up his kingdom. He is willing to listen to their wants, needs, and desires, while also respecting the weight of responsibility and power he commands. Locate the king inside of you. How can you feel embodied and balanced when in power? Beautiful. Camel, meaning travel, a long journey, stamina. Regarded for its ability to travel long distances across the desert, the camel may literally herald the opportunity for travel. Should that be the case, this card is an invitation to embark upon that journey and to welcome whatever it may bring. However, camel energy is really about the archetype of the hero's journey and the stamina it requires. The hero's journey is the outline for nearly every story you've ever read. It encompasses the trials and tribulations the protagonist must endure for their true potential to crystallize and ultimately for there to be a triumph over evil in some way. It is the oldest story in existence. If you've pulled the camel card in a reading, you are likely embarking upon a metaphorical journey yourself, facing your own trials and tribulations that will test your resiliency. Remember that it is often when the hero faces defeat, exhaustion, and disillusionment that their true gifts are discovered. You may have to dig deep and find parts of yourself that you didn't know were there. Further reflection. Think of your all-time favorite hero's journey. It likely resides way back in childhood, and re-watch or reread this story now. Find inspiration in your favorite character. Many believe we identify the most with them. Frog, meaning purification, cleansing, grief. Just as the amphibious frog spends its time in the water, the arrival of this card is a call to get in touch with this sacred element. Take a shower or a bath. Go to the ocean, visit a lake or a river, and allow the clear water to purify your soul. It may also be that you need a good cry, as the frog card also represents the journey of grief. As much as people claim they don't enjoy crying, we often feel better after we do. To cry is to purge, to release all the things we've carried inside for just a little too long. If you have been grappling with the complicated journey of grief, it may be time to let it out and embrace the literal and metaphorical cleanse. However, consider also that sadness isn't the only reason people cry. There are tears of anger, frustration, exhaustion, and even joy. Whatever you're feeling, it needs to express itself through water one way or another. Further reflection. Consider that our bodies are about 60% water. Consider also this quote by Isaac Dinesen. The cure for anything is salt water, sweat, tears, or the sea. Interesting. Tapir. I love tapirs. Some people call them tapirs. I call them tapirs. They're gorgeous. I love these critters. Meaning, acting in service to others, charity, selflessness. In dreams, a tapir is often linked to gentleness and the need to be kind and compassionate toward other people. This is despite its close genetic ties to the rhino, a rather tough animal. The natural disposition of this unique creature is rather shy, Although they do live in small social units, especially during their mating years, the appearance of the tapir card asks us to consider acts of service as a love language and the practical steps we can take to show up for others. Depending on your personality, you may or may not already embody acts of service as a love language. These tangible displays of love don't always match the conventional idea of romance, but in some ways they may mean more. Part of being a human being is operating within a community and showing up for others in their time of need. Our social selves thrive only when we have a solid support system in place, no matter how introverted or private we may be. If you've pulled the tapir card, it's your turn to show up for those you care about and act in service to your love for them. Maybe someone needs a favor, or the person you live with could use your help accomplishing a task. When we are physically present for those we care about, the impact of our actions stays with them much longer than anything else does. Offer your helping hands. Further reflection. Read about the 5 love languages. It is thought that we each have 2 of them, one for how we show the feeling of love and one through which we receive the feeling of love. Where do acts of service fall in that list for you? Why? What could you stand to gain through giving without expectation? The answer may surprise you. Tapir. Hippo. Meaning, abundance, reaping rewards, indulgence. A heavyweight in the animal kingdom, the hippo is the 3rd largest land animal, behind the elephant and the white rhino. The incredible mass of a hippopotamus represents the themes of abundance, expansion, and indulgence. And if you've pulled the hippo card, you are in the flow of it. This card will always be a welcome sight in a reading, as we should be experiencing abundance in many and maybe all areas of our lives. There is a jovial energy that comes along with the hippo, as we are deeply in the flow of gratitude when this card is present as well. You may be entertaining your every indulgence and rewarding yourself for all your hard work. Just make sure not to go overboard or to hoard all the good tidings for yourself. The hippo asks us to share our wealth, literally and figuratively, with those we love. After you've taken a moment to treat yourself, remember that you will eventually have to get to work again to create even more moments of abundance in your life. Further reflection. In astrology, Jupiter is the planet we look to for abundance. The house it sits in represents the area of life where we've always experienced a certain ease. Others may view us as particularly lucky in this area. The sign that Jupiter sits in points to the energy we can embody to kick in the Jupiterian themes of expansion, opportunity, growth, and good fortune. Locate Jupiter in your chart and research this meaning and further cultivate the energy of the hippo. Gorgeous. See how happy I was when that came up? For a reason, obviously. Okapi. I love okapis. meaning, a fated meeting, event, or situation. The higher meaning behind everything. Where are you going, Phyllis? Okay. The okapi is a unique creature, partially resembling a zebra, but most closely related to the giraffe, that is indigenous exclusively to the northern part of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. In many ways, the existence of the okapi seems unlikely, and yet an unknowable number of things aligned to make its existence so. The presence of the okapi in a reading may speak to something that feels much the same and begs the question of fate, whether in a meeting or situation. To draw the okapi card in a reading is a sure sign that something bigger than you is at play. The way things have aligned across time and space to bring you to this moment where everything is falling into place may feel surreal. Moments in our lives where we can see destiny unfolding in front of our eyes are few and far between. There is a deep knowing in our bones that recognizes this pleasant twist of fate, and that same knowing asks us to drink in as much as we can stand, because there is something crucial to be harnessed and learned. Keep in mind that when destiny turns the wheel, it may not always feel pleasant, though it certainly feels big. Sometimes, when everything is aligning to put us in our higher path, it can be extremely difficult. This, too, requires a certain trust in the way that things are unfolding, even if we don't fully understand why. Look to the higher meaning behind this moment. Much is being revealed. Further reflection. What do you believe in that is higher or bigger than yourself? While there's no right or wrong answer, at least not one that we can embrace with unbridled certainty, there are countless options. One metaphor used to define the many dogmas of the divine is that of a bike wheel. There are many spokes, each representing a different sect of belief, but they all lead to the same center. This isn't a call to define God, but to recognize the divine intelligence that courses through all things, all creatures, all outcomes. You know, I love the okapis because, and I actually did a presentation in one of my religious studies classes in college about the okapi. Did you know that the little villages, the villagers in that area of the world, the hunters will dig a ditch when they go hunting, and if the okapi falls in the ditch, it'll stay there and allow itself to be food for the village. Isn't that amazing? They're such divine creatures, and they follow their destiny 100%. Isn't that amazing? Eagle, meaning the spiritual messenger, protection, the bigger picture. To see the elusive eagle in real life is rare and fleeting. Those who are lucky enough to behold this majestic creature know of its unique wonders. Just like the hawk, the great eagle is revered as a divine creature, one that is rich in deeply spiritual symbolism. Nothing flies higher in the sky than an eagle. Because of this unique vantage point, the eagle brings with it an important perspective, one that can only be achieved from a certain level of enlightenment and understanding. It also brings along an important message, and the other cards around it give context to that message. If you've pulled the eagle by itself, this is a sign that you are the spiritual messenger, and you are being encouraged to share the wisdom, skills, and knowledge you possess. Perhaps there is a leadership role you're being asked to step into, or a community that you could serve. Often, and especially in spirituality, we are both the student and the teacher. Where do you embody both roles? Consider also how eagles are sacred across many cultures and sects of belief. Often revered as a fierce symbol of divine wisdom and protection, it is possible that the arrival of this card means a shield is around you now. Trust that you are divinely protected. Further reflection. Eagles are often representatives of the Great Spirit. You would be hard-pressed to find anyone who views crossing paths with an eagle to be a bad omen. On the contrary, there seems to be a universal agreement that seeing an eagle is a great gift, regardless of creed, religion, or dogma. This inexplicable knowing is an example of the concept of the superconsciousness, the belief that as humans, we all have a collective well of knowledge and wisdom that can be tapped into. Perhaps now you can draw upon this same communal knowing. Wow. Lizard. Meaning, repeating a cycle, unlearned lessons. Lizards are often associated with the idea of regeneration, as they can regrow their tail should something happen to it. This indeed is a handy trick, enabling the lizard to not only get a major part of its body back, but also to do better next time around. When lizard energy is present, we too are being offered this gift. This card is also an invitation to take a moment and ask yourself why this cycle is recurrent. Lessons have a way of repeating themselves time and again until we learn and integrate them. It may take us a few times to even recognize the common thread between situations, but once we do, we are presented with a choice. Learn, grow, evolve, do better, be better, or don't. And this same lesson will circle back around soon enough. If this card has arrived in your reading, it's likely that at this moment, the latter has been true for a while. Consider especially the other cards around the lizard. What do they reveal about the crossroads where you're standing at the moment? Further reflection. Life doesn't really evolve in a linear fashion. We often circle back to themes, lessons, or situations time and again. Each time with fresh eyes, each time to deepen our understanding. This, in essence, is the role Pluto plays in each of our lives. Discernment is necessary to determine if we are truly repeating a cycle because we aren't doing the work, or because there's an opportunity to evolve, take on a new perspective, and or heal. The answer may not be so clear-cut. Consider that multiple things can be true at once. Gazelle, meaning separation, walking away, endings. The arrival of this card may not be a welcome sight, my friend, but its meaning cannot afford to be minced. Whenever gazelle energy is present, it's time to walk and maybe even run away, be it from a belief, a situation, or possibly even a person. There is nothing good here for you anymore. As difficult as it may feel, consider the grace a gazelle exudes as it flees a scene with great speed and alacrity. Even in the face of danger or defeat, the gazelle exudes confidence in its ability to bring itself somewhere new. There is wisdom in this energy for you too. Should you choose to ignore this card, it's likely that things will get progressively worse. It's also likely that a part of you already knows whatever this card is pointing to isn't serving you anymore. Release fear. Recognize that the universe is quite fond of a vacuum. As soon as the space this situation was taking up is cleared out, something bigger and better will come and take its place. Further reflection. If change is something you resist, or maybe even downright fear, now would be an excellent time to explore why. Often this fear is linked to one's definition of safety, stability, and comfort. Trying to find the balance between the necessary growth that only comes from pushing ourselves outside our comfort zone and the need to feel safe can be an arduous task. However, as we grow, change, and evolve, so do our comfort zones. Consider the changes in your life that felt scary at first, but which you now are grateful for. Then consider that this moment could be one of those catalysts too. Isn't that amazing? Griffin. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, let me take a sip of my now cold coffee. Griffin, meaning the super conscious. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a good one. The griffin is a mythical creature possessing the head, talons, and wings of an eagle, but the body of a lion. Thanks to the fusing of these two powerhouses, the griffin has often been used as a symbol of fierce power and impenetrable protection. While you'll never see one in real life, to see a griffin in your dreams is a compelling message from spirit. Thanks to the mythos of this being and the incredible height to which it soars, the griffin possesses an incredible vantage point that reveals potent truths we can obtain only through spiritual enlightenment or through tapping into the super consciousness of the divine. If griffin energy is at play, you are in a rare and fated moment in your life, and it's time to pay attention. Sometimes the griffin is depicted as being so large it can blot out the sun. In this form, the griffin is known as Ziz, Z-I-Z, Ziz. A creature from Jewish mythology that can also allow the light of the sun to come through if it so chooses. In both darkness and light, there are different experiences and truths to be found. There is a time to sit in the dark and silence, and a time to step out into the illumination and warmth of the sun. In this way, we can grasp that the divine is in all things. It is both light and dark simultaneously. There is an appropriate time for both, and in this moment, you must discern which you need. Further reflection. Spend time in meditation or researching the symbolism of the griffin. Its presence is fleeting, yet deeply profound. The circumstances surrounding a griffin moment are sure to stay with you for a long, long time. Do your best to be present and drink in as much detail as you can. Open yourself up fully to the divine and pay attention to the messages you are being sent. They can arrive through any and every avenue. Often, the griffin arrives when the situation at hand requires a complex balance of power and a leap of faith. Wow. And that is the last card. Amazing deck. Amazing deck. Now, I read in the reviews, and it kind of irritated me. I read in the reviews that they were irritated about this deck because it didn't have any numbers. But looky here, table of contents, right here on, what is it, the second page of this book. So, if this deck sings to you and you would like to get it, I have a link to where I got it in the description box below. It is not an affiliate link. Don't be discouraged by it not having any numbers on the cards. Second page is the table of contents. Okay. This is beautiful. I think that this is, I'm going to start shuffling it now. This is definitely a beautiful addition to my collection. I hope that it's something that you enjoy and would want to use. I think it would be great if you are working on your shadow work. This is a great way to do a daily reflection card, to do your baby steps towards shadow work, and have something to contemplate during the day by pulling a card a day, right? And focusing on that one thing, because shadow work is really, it's a scary thing when you first start out. You know, it's scary sounding, but we all have shadows. We all have light, okay? We can't have one without the other. And to embrace ourselves completely and fully means to embrace ourselves in both aspects, in our entirety, right? And it is difficult and scary, but if you take tiny little baby steps towards that, it will become less daunting and less frightening. And it will help you to grow as a human being, right? So I think that this would be a great tool to use for daily reflections, to do tiny little pieces of shadow work every day. I also am going to start incorporating this, pulling one of these cards in my future readings, just to have a bit of shadow work at play for us all. Why not? Let's do it. Let's grow and evolve together, right? I think that this is an amazing deck. I highly recommend it. I really do. I think that this is gorgeous, beautiful colors. I love how it is a magnetic. It's a really strong magnet too. Really strong magnet. Open. Oh, there you go. I love how it folds like that, and I love how it just, you can just slip this right on in here. Right on in here. The book and the deck has its own little place. How wonderful is that? I love this. I'm going to keep this out for a while and play with it. for sure, along with all my other decks that I just got. I think that this is wonderful. Maybe I'll do a pick a card for shadow readings. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. I'll probably do it anyway, whether you comment or not. But I'd like to hear your opinion on it. Either way. So let me know. Thank you for holding space for me today. And I hope that you really enjoy this. Again, this is the Oracle of Pluto. I think that this is really going to be a very wonderful way to help people working through any shadow work that they may have, any struggles. I also think that this might also work very nicely with the with decks like the Into the Lonely Woods. I think this would work really nicely with it. Or even the Kim Carnes one, the Animal Spirit Oracle. Is it the Animal Spirit Oracle? I don't have that anymore. I was guided to release it, but yeah, I mean, beautiful, beautiful deck. Highly recommend it. Thank you for holding space for me. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I can't wait to play with this. I hope you enjoyed it too. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you on the next video.